So far, you've practiced creating an array and initializing the array. And now you'll practice writing code to access elements of the array. And knowing this, you can use the value of an array index to set the text on a text view. So for now, you'll access elements of an array by printing the value to the Android logs. So remember, you can access the logcat monitor from this button here. So given the code that we have now, nothing shows up on the screen just yet. And remember that we introduced logging back in the Android for Beginners course. So there, we learned that Android keeps a system log of what is happening on the device. It's a running log of messages from the system. You can think of it as a diary that includes the time something happened and the description of what happened. These system messages are helpful for debugging, and we can check the logs to go back in time to figure out what's happening on the device before the problem occurred. You witnessed this firsthand when we were building the Just Java app back in the Android for Beginners course. When an app crashed, we could see the error messages in the logs to help us debug the problems. Remember in Android Studio that the messages appear in the logcat window. Now, in addition to using the log to view errors, we as developers can also write messages to the log, and we call this process of writing to the log logging. This can help us temporarily debug our app or just double check the state of our app while it's running. So it's similar to using the debug tool where we can add breakpoints to check the state of different variables in our app, and this allows us to write the value of certain variables to the logs. But personally, I like using logging statements because they're quicker. So instead of manually stepping through each line of code in the app, you just let the app run as normal, and log messages get printed along the way. So this is a helpful article on how to write log messages. You just need a single line of code for one log message. Notice that there are 5 different categories of log messages based on how severe or urgent the message is. So it ranges from verbose messages, which are just nice to know messages, all the way to error messages, which means severe issues, such as when your app is running into unexpected behavior. So for now, we're just going to practice writing verbose log messages to help us check the state of certain variables in our app. Notice for all of these log messages, they require 2 strings as inputs. So clicking on this first log.v method, we see that the first input parameter is a tag name. So anyone can print to the logs, the Android systems or other apps. So we use this tag to identify where the message is coming from. Often for the tag, we just use the name of the activity or class the logging statement is found in. For example, we can have a log statement in the numbers activity, and we can make the tag just be the numbers activity string. The second parameter is message, and this is just the message we'd see appear in the logs. And the second parameter is message, and this is just the message we'd see appear in the logs, and it can be whatever you'd like to be logged. So going back to that main article, we see an example down here. It's a log.I method call, which we know from here is an information log. We see that the tag name here is main activity, and the message is here. So in our message parameter, we use the plus operator to concatenate strings. So string concatenation is a fancy way to say string addition. Similar to how we add numbers together, we can merge strings with the plus operator. In this case, we're merging this string with this position variable to create a much longer string. So in the logcat, you'll see my activity as the tag name, and then the message myClass.view-getItemNumber1. And this is assuming that the value of the position variable is 1. Here's an example in our numbers activity. So I added these 2 log messages at the bottom of our onCreate method. Now I'm going to run the app on my device. Now with the app running, I'm going to navigate to the numbers activity, and notice that these 2 messages in the log output appear. So we get the statements, the word at index 0 is 1, and the word at index 1 is 2. Now notice 2 things here. First, we needed to add a buffer space after the colon so that all this text isn't all scrunched up together. And secondly, we didn't put this words bracket 0 closing bracket in quotations because we want the value at this index, not the literal string with the brackets. So to summarize, printing out the log message is a really useful way to make sure that the variable has the expected value you expect it to. So these log messages will be temporary, and we'll remove them later on. Now let's put logging to practice in your Miwok app. Take the time to log messages in your code so that you can see the value of each element in the words array. And so this is the expected output in the logs. And go ahead and check this box when you're done.